freshly pressed on Smooth 98.1.
God help us.
Invest in your tomorrow.
It's a Tuesday morning for freshly pressed 12th of July 2022. In the next 30 minutes, we're taking you around Nigeria, bringing you all the big stories, the major headlines in about 30 minutes. I'm not doing this alone. By the way, my name is Victor Pepple. We have Uwade Hime joining us for today. Good morning.
Good morning, Victor. Good morning, Lagos. Great to be here. Back at the salad to everyone.
It's the last day of the public holiday. By tomorrow, you're resuming in the office. I love it. That you're enjoying the public holiday alone in your house, and I'm here working. I don't feel like we're equals. So when you come back to work tomorrow, I'll be happy with you again. I'm kidding, but it's okay. You can be part of the show, sending messages across to us on WhatsApp 0809 Also, tweet us Smooth 981 FM Lagos. That's on Twitter, Smooth 981 FM, and we're streaming live on YouTube, Smooth 981 FM Lagos. All right, let's get things started real quickly from the Vanguard newspaper. In fact, quite interesting headlines, I tell you. Feel free to react to any of them. This one: how terrorists received 800 million naira ransom to free 7 train passengers. Now, barely 24 hours after Sheikh Ahmed Gumi's spokesman, Malam Tuko Mamu, secured the release of 7 more abducted train passengers from the terrorists who abducted the Kaduna bound AK9 train. Sources close to the victims' families have alleged that about 800 million naira in dollar equivalent was paid as ransom to the terrorists. Uade, this wasn't free and out of goodwill. 800 million naira in dollar equivalent was paid to secure release of these 7 persons.
It's not expected to be free and have goodwill in it at the end of the day. It was a kidnap and ransoms were, were always going to be paid. The question now is whether the National Assembly or the government will start to prosecute those who decide to pay a ransom to free their loved ones who have been in the kidnappers' den for over 3 months. It's amazing that nobody has ever called Sheikh Gumi or his spokesman Malam Tukumamu to find out exactly. They are the only ones who seem to know where the kidnappers are, the terrorists, what they want, and nobody is asking these questions. Everybody is just moving on a daily basis. Another 7 people. We still have some people who these are the fortunate ones who have been able to raise the money. Some said they sold their properties or they sold properties towards raising the money. 100 million naira. 600 million was collected in 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 dollars, and 200 million was collected for the I think it was the Lebanese man,
Yeah, foreigner.
the foreigner who was there, Lebanese a Lebanese man. So it just beats me. And every day we hear that the president says, "Oh, we're tackling insecurity."
So the son, I hear that the son of the chairman, Northern Elders Forum, Ango Abdullahi, was also abducted, and he was among the people who were released. Did he also pay the 100 million naira to
If
secure release of his son?
no, I believe so. Not because what will be the the essence of releasing them if there was nothing coming into them? They've been holding them. Part of the part of the part of the reasons why they said they needed the money was that they had been looking after the kidnapped person for the last 3 months. The cost of living,
Cost of feeding
cost of
your, I mean,
feeding.
abductors
Yeah,
100 million naira in 3 months?
yeah.
Isn't this some sort of lucrative business?
It's been the most lucrative business in the last 6 7 years in Nigeria, and nobody, believe me, nobody has done anything about it. We continually hear, "Oh, we're we're we're, we're bombing the terrorists," but anytime you hear about any attack, whether it's the air force or the military in all, innocent civilians are killed. It's amazing that this government, who rode on the bridge of anti-corruption, we're going to improve security, and even like everybody continues to say, someone who has a military background and understands the importance of security, we have lost all sense of security in Nigeria.
I recall that the abductors wanted to negotiate with the federal government to secure release of some of their leaders, and then in exchange for the hostages. That didn't happen. It was told we needed Mr. President to act on it. It never happened. Just last week, Tuesday, it's a week today, we heard about the invasion of the Kuje Medium Correctional Center, and the leaders of the supposed abductors were freed from that Kuje Custodial Center.
Yes,
And few days later, we saw an exchange, not like an exchange, but there were people freed. And so we would think that, okay, maybe this happened, gentleman agreement, you stole, or perhaps you broke in, took your leaders, and then you freed some people. But it's a little surprising to hear that over 800 million naira was paid.
It shouldn't surprise you. I took a risk. I broke my leaders out of jail. Now I can ask for the ransom because I have nothing to lose anymore. And that's the situation that we're seeing here. So if 800 million was paid, which I believe it was, it could be less, it could be.
Final question on this, because it looks like we spent so much time on this one, but isn't it a little mind-boggling that the security operatives combined in Nigeria, from the military to the police, civil defense, whatever you choose to call them, since February till now, I mean March, I think it happened in March,
Yeah.
28th of March till now, no concrete solution or no concrete security report with regards the abducted passengers on that particular train?
Every day in Nigeria, there is one security breach or the other. You just name it, and nobody tells us anything about it, and this, which is extremely sad. This government has shown us that their level of ineptitude in terms of securing the lives and properties of Nigerians is at the highest level. We've not seen this in a long time in Nigeria, and we just hope for the best.
All right. From the Punch newspaper, fuel hits 250 naira per liter in Abuja, Lagos, Niger, and other states. This happened over the weekend from Sunday and yesterday. Between Sunday and yesterday, they were dispensing for over 250 naira, between 200 and 250 naira per liter. But recall that the government approved retail price still remains 165 naira per liter in the Federal Capital Territory, where the federal government is the seat of power. Fuel selling at 200 naira, 250 naira, and nothing is done about it.
Nothing can be done about it when the fuel is not available.
But we have a government approved retail price.
It's an issue of demand and supply. Many of the filling stations don't have fuel. We know that the sole provider of fuel in Nigeria is the NNPC. Then nobody is making any statement from the NNPC and telling us why we don't have enough fuel. They always claim, oh, we have enough to wet the ground. But when you read the story, you also read and hear that there are other issues that are bedeviling this fuel crisis. The bridging claims have not been paid for months, since February, and nobody is moving products from one place to the other. People are telling you that the cost of landing the fuel in Nigeria has increased, which we all know. The cost of diesel has gone up astronomically, and these are all costs that marketers have to deal with. So who bears the brunt of it? Should they take loans to be able to provide services to consumers, and they don't get their monies paid? And this is what we're seeing here. The NNPC spokesman they tried to reach the NNPC spokesman. The calls were not picked. The text has not been answered. In short, the regulators are not telling us anything about this. So at the end of the day, we see long queues. Petrol stations.
Overall,
wouldn't
wouldn't this also affect transportation fares for the average Nigerian?
Oh, everything is going to go up, not just transportation, food, you just name it. Because at the end of the day, it's a public holiday. That's why you're not seeing so many people on the road. But I can imagine how it would look tomorrow, where you don't have buses that have enough fuel. Those who run on diesel are already increasing their prices, and it's just I really don't know. I'm
All
just
right.
lost for words.
Let's keep it going and find out your take on this. From the Vanguard newspaper, strike. Enough is enough. Buhari tells ASU, is enough really enough? Since the 14th of February till now, There's been the issue of strikes in Nigeria, and it's persistent, it's ongoing. The president has finally weighed in a speech in Daura. Enough
Has
is
he weighed
enough.
in?
I mean,
Weighing
with
in
with
means
this speech,
he's just made a statement for
but
me.
is enough really enough?
Enough will be enough if the president believes that he, ASU, has been on strike for so long, and he will call the representatives of ASU and have a one-on-one session with them. You don't make statements. He's made this statement before, that it's time for them to call off the strike. Enough is enough. University students in government universities have not gone to school for God knows how long. And you sit in that ra and release, as usual, release your statement and tell us that enough is enough. Nobody is saying anything. Excuse me. The talks are continually being stalled. Everybody is looking towards the 2023 elections. Now that the primaries are over, people are looking at who is going to be the vice president of who and who not. Nobody speaks about it. And it is a shame when he says that, oh, the future of Nigeria is through the education system, and they have systematically over the years destroyed our educational system, and that's what we have. So at the end of the day, it's just another statement for me, another rhetoric from his spokesman, telling us something that,
In
rather
fact,
than invite the see
I'm
see
sorry. When I saw the president say enough is enough on the issue of ASO, I thought, oh, by tomorrow, after the public holiday, he would order that the 200 billion be paid to them, so they call off the strikes once and for all. He's rather um, asking well-meaning Nigerians, particularly those close to the leaders and members of the association, to intervene in persuading the lecturers to reconsider their position.
just call the lecturers and have a discussion with them.
He said, if you know any of the lecturers, intervene, plead with them on the
What?
federal government.
Jesus. He is the president. If he tells the representatives of ASU to come to ASU Rock and have a discussion with them and give them clear cut information about what he plans to do, I am sure tomorrow ASU will call off their strike. But he has well-meaning Nigerians.
Close to the leaders of the association
So
should
what is it?
intervene,
He's not
beg
close
them.
to the leadership, or he cannot summon the leadership to come and have a discussion with him.
Interesting. Well,
Really interesting.
from the Guardian newspaper now, cocoa farmers target 500,000 metric tons in 2024. Launch handbook. And well, they've stated they've started providing 12,500 seedlings to Abia State cocoa farmers, and this will increase cocoa and forestry practices towards improving transparency across the cocoa supply chain. Is this really good for us at this time?
Well, it is good if we can continually put this in perspective over the long term, because there is a huge market for cocoa. There is also not just all over the world, but also in Nigeria. You have some of the consumer goods markets that use cocoa a lot. So, and the quality of Nigeria's cocoa is among the best in the world. So when you consider Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire, who make a huge who make huge revenues from the exportation of cocoa. The other thing really important here is one of the reasons why they are doing this is to be able to join Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire in the collection of the $400 living income differential for small cocoa holders. I hope it's not just for them to get those monies, and these cocoa small farmers don't get their living improvement. I hope it's not another scam of giving out handbooks and taking over the $400, and nobody knows where it goes to at the end of the day when you access it from those who provide those funds. And this for me is really the key here. Handbooks to farmers to do what, rather than have proper research teams and continuous seminars and improvements on how things can be done. So how many of them have time to read the handbooks is something else. But the key for me here is they are being able to access the $400 living income differential for smallholder cocoa farmers of Nigeria, which the president of the Cocoa Farmers Association of Nigeria says is a matter of priority. When people start prioritizing on monies that belong to other people, I hope those farmers, when they produce and they sell, they will get these monies into their businesses so that they can improve their outputs.
It's only in Nigeria you need handbook to to be able to farm cocoa, but it's okay. Let's take a break. When we do come back, we head straight over to WhatsApp to take your messages. With handbook, we'll know that you are a member of the association.
Witness from work. My mom, my wife, and finally,
President Buhari
works
should
at
do the
PR.
needful rather than
I
trying to
can't afford to miss
blackmail
these calls. You see,
the
David
lecturers.
is
Indirect
always
things,
on my
not
matter, informing me about investment opportunities before everyone else, so I can always be ready. He always has a new strategy to grow my money. The way he carries the matter on his head, eh? You would think it's more than just his day job. But that's why Dele is my person, because he's invested in my tomorrow. At ARM, we want to help you achieve your goals, because when you succeed, we succeed. Visit www.arm.com.ng. ARM, invested in your tomorrow.
My name's Theo Bliss.
Oh, we're back.
Boss. And you're listening to Smooth Breakfast.
Thank you very much for staying tuned. You're listening to Freshly Pressed on Smooth 98.1. My name is Pepple. Our guest in the studio is Uwade Hime. We're taking your messages on WhatsApp. 0809 is the number to send that message across to us live in the studio. Quite a lengthy one here from Biodun in Yaba. Says compliments of the season. Talking about priorities by government, I propose the following. Regarding the ASU strike, I think the government should take an amount that equates to what the lecturers are asking from the money used to subsidize PMS and pay them in order to take care of one of their demands, then jack up the fuel price to the amount given to the lecturers. This should solve at least two of our current problems. Students will return to school and fuel queues will disappear. By so doing, they can start doing away with fuel subsidy in bits. Have a blessed day. Your radio is highly regarded. Well done for the good job. Regards. Biodun, thank you so much for the compliments and for your idea that you've shared. I hope that they do the needful because I know that they're listening. Dami Lola from Ikorodu says, crime pays. End of discussion. Wow. Okay. Idima Puza, strike, ASU strike, President Buhari should do the needful rather than trying to blackmail the lecturers. Doing the right thing is not a nuclear physics. Our youth's lives are wasting away in idleness, staying at home, while their children are graduating from schools abroad. That's not fair. That's gospel according to Mapuza from Surulere. Dan from Igondo says, this Buhari government ought to enter the Guinness Book of Record as the most failed government in the annals of Nigeria's governance. Okay. JJ says, enough is enough, Bao. The past 7 years has been a shame to say the least. When I read this, it's just another headline. Wade discussion again. The president doesn't have a plan for education. Remember the other headline, presidency though, say Baba is saying bye bye. Okay. A minister is a representative of the president aside from the fact that he appointed them. So is it possible that the minister says something different from what the president will say? I doubt. Fact that ASU should understand is that they can't get 200 billion naira in one fell swoop. What the federal government should do is pass a law to restrict ASU members from working in private universities, because if they can, then the federal government also can decide to sack them and employ new lecturers. Where is Yinka Bolu going with this?
I have no clue.
Okay. Austin comes in and says, Nigerian cocoa shipped to Ghana. Ghana ships to the world. And it continues. So Ghana buys from us and then keeps exporting. What is going on if this is true? Well, we'll just take one more message and continue with the stories. See what this country has turned into. Terrorists will pick people and get billions of naira. See them asking for 4 billion to release the others. Do you know that there are people that these people can collect ransom and still refuse to release the captives? This is not a laughing matter, but our future is black and bleak. Shame on the general in the Nigerian army. Fidelis from Shomolu sent that message across. But quickly, let's get it going. From the Guardian newspaper now, stakeholders Lord Disco's takeover, knock regulators for sector's woes. Who are they? Are we going to see improved power supply, bottom line?
That's a big question. I don't think we'll see improved power supply. These takeovers have been forced by the banks, and the reason is simple. The discos have not been able to, or discos that have been taken over, have not been able to even service their loans, not to talk about pay down.
So the banks are.
So the banks are taking over the management of the discos and saying,
What am I hearing?
but that's it.
The banks are going to take over some of the discos.
Well, they have called in their, what's it called? There's an agreement for the funding. So in conjunction with the BP, because the federal government owns 40%.
Of course.
They've decided, okay, so this is the way forward. We'll bring in, or we'll agree on who the new management team should be, so that we can ensure that.
Sorry, let's put this in proper perspective. My brain is just going up and down.
Your brain shouldn't go up and down.
That's the Bureau of Public Enterprise, BPE, which is negotiating on the side of government, and government owns 40% stake in our electricity in Nigeria. That's fact cleared.
Yeah.
Now, the discos, the distribution companies, which is private owned, right, are owing the banks. Partly private owned, are owing the banks.
They own 60% of it.
But they are owing the banks. And the banks now want to take over.
Or they have to call in their loans because they can pay. And if you
I'm
continue,
still trying to process this in my head.
no, but that's
What if
that's
the
how-
banks? Well, I know that Nigeria has 40%, so it might not happen. Seeing the banks take full control of our discos.
They're not going to take full. They're not going to. They're going to ensure that one, the current management, who they see, are not doing the things that would help the discos generate the kind of monies that will pay them back, so that they can restructure, replan, and ensure that they can provide the services that will ensure that.
But
monies
we've
are being
seen
made.
tariff increases in the last 2 years, almost every quarter. Is it that with all the
Every
tariff?
half year.
I mean, what they almost, it seems like almost a quarter to be every 3 months they're increasing tariffs in this country. Isn't that enough to augment for whatever they owe the banks, really?
Well, it depends. There are two things. So it's one thing to increase the tariffs. It's another thing for you to be able to get the power to the people and then collect the monies from the people. So their inability to, one, give power to the people, and where everybody is complaining that we're still living in a world where bills are still too high for not getting electricity. And a number of the discos have refused to put in the systems that will help them ensure that they can track how electricity moves from one point to the other. However, the fact remains is they borrowed monies to buy over these discos. There were agreements on what they were meant to do. Some of them have not met them and have not been able to pay back the loans. Some of them have had high-level governance issues, which for me is a critical part that is showing today, and why the financiers have decided that, you know what, it's time to bring in a system that, one, reflect transparency, good governance, and be able to strategize and restructure to ensure that at least they are making
quite
money.
shameful, Uwade, that in 2022, July 2022, we're still discussing power issues in Nigeria. That's number one, because countries like Ghana that we used to supply power to back in the 70s, today have 24-hour power supply. Togo, the same thing, they can boast about that. But in Nigeria, a lot of things happen, and I do understand. When you keep increasing the tariffs, there are people who cannot pay, and you force them to bypass. And so they're stealing from the power, which you're supposed to be making money from. Instead of increasing tariffs all the time, why don't the government come to a round table, discuss, keep it at a stable price, and make Nigerians pay that stable price, rather than force Nigerians? When you keep increasing, I tell you for free, there's no street in Lagos. Well, I can't put that, I'm very bogus. But the issues of, like it or not, people keep stealing these powers when you bypass.
And yes, and two reasons for that. One, the lack of metering.
Even with the meters,
No,
some people meter and then they use it for their light bulbs, and then
but the fact is, if you have every consumer, are you me, or every customer metered to a large extent, you would see where the gaps are. Because electricity that has gone into a transformer and has been shared across the
You
street.
see the
You
thing
know
the
the
thing
amount
also with
that goes in.
Nigerians, the more you begin to shoot without missing, the birds will perch without will fly without perching.
No,
Even
but
with the meters, there's meter tampering now.
and I agree, but it's a crime. So first,
That's what I'm saying.
But first,
We need to get to that point where Nigerians are okay to pay without trying to
no.
bypass.
The first thing is put everybody on the meter.
Okay.
So that I can account for, in quotes, what I use. Now, when people start to bypass, it means that you've committed a crime. And that way you can enforce the law. The laws are there, the things are there. Now,
Whether
honest-
meter or not, Nigerians still know how to bypass. I'm saying and I'm advocating strongly that if the prices were fair enough, we will see less of these people. If you're buying like 20,000 naira per week, in a month it's 80,000. And looking at the way Nigeria is today, it's not sustainable.
I beg to differ.
Okay.
If you have power supply being given to you, are you with me, regularly, and you understand how power comes in and what it costs, there's a lot of wastage first and foremost. So people won't use energy saving bulbs. A lot of people are getting there now. People go out, leave their ACs on.
I get your point. But can you
is,
say this to those who stay in the rurals who have been used to NEPA back in the day and estimated billing where it was even cheap? You live in a compound where they split the cost, and then they come into a place you're telling them estimated billing, or they have to use energy savers.
And that's the first thing I told you. When you meter what goes in, are you with me?
Yes.
There is no need to estimate. So if I give you 10 units, you see 10 units. If I use 10 units, you can see it read. Now, if you bypass, and I know that 10 units was meant to have gone there over time, and that's what is being used, then it's easy for me to say, oh, what happened to 4 units that was stolen?
I get you. But let's take it back to the messages quickly. Jerry says, enough is enough. ASU. This my goodness is himself and all his aides not liking on the largesse of the generality of the nation. This is what you get when it doesn't concern you as a Nigerian. He should resign. Basically, that's what he's saying with regards to Mr. President. I'm Gilbert Musa from Festac. On kidnapping, let us ask ourselves, how did the situation degenerate to the present challenge? Why has the security operatives not traced the phone lines of these kidnappers? Why can't we place a face to the kidnappers? What do we do with data collected from telcos and banks? Well, I'm sure Communications Minister will be able to explain that this government has always been keen on reacting and never proactive. Yeah. The president coming out to say enough is enough is just to say something and keep quiet again. It's painful. Chimezie from Ijegun. Melvin, well, it's obvious this Buhari government is indeed a failed one. Shame on all Nigerians supporting the APC and this kangaroo flag bearer who want to rob us into another 8 years, failed years of agony, God forbid. Well, that's your opinion. That's Melvin to you via here. It's your opinion. Benito, fear is the key that opens the vault of the wealthy. All right. Sri Lanka, UK have chased out their prime minister. It's high time Nigerians take over government and showcase that ultimate power belongs to the people. Chase out this government, creating this hellscape in Nigeria, revitalize Nigeria via electoral revolution. It's okay you mentioned that, so you have to wait till February 2023.
Yeah, but at least the sense is there.
Okay, Yinka, that message too long. That's Yinka Bolu. But let's take another one from Yinka. This might be the final word taken. Victor, countless times Mr. C have said it on the show that energy is not cheap. Even UK is not. My street has only 3 buildings my street has only 3 buildings metered. A friend at the disco told me that the revenue they get from token sales vis-a-vis equivalent energy is a discrepancy with what the meter on transformer reads by almost 1 million naira. Are you telling me it's the 3 unmetered houses that consume the almost 1 million variance?
Which is what you were saying.
That's what I'm saying. Bypass.
Yeah.
Is there any street? Well, I don't want to go there. Let's just leave it where they.
First, do the metering. Let everybody have a meter. Then you can narrow it down. And like you said, is it the 3 houses? No. It's every other house, but now you can narrow it down to a large extent. You can narrow
We're
it
not
down.
ready for that conversation, Uwade. There is hardly a street in Nigeria, and I'm angry that I'm the one saying this.
And I don't disagree with you, but the first thing is get everybody on a system that you can track.
All right, we need to go. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. The show comes back again tomorrow at 7:30. Uwade, thanks for being a part of the show. Catch him on Twitter, Uwade
underscore.
My name is Victor Pepple. Enjoy the rest of your day.
See, I hear you. The first thing, if everybody is metered, there's a system called Scala, which I can see all my network that is giving out energy. Are you with me? And into every meter that is tied